You look at me and you probably think, this guy's made it. This cat's cock of the freaking walk. But things change, and things can change very, very quickly. I mean, back in 1981, I had a very comfortable job selling Shakin' Stevens merchandise. But in 1981, the Human League came along. They knocked Shakin' Stevens out of the charts, they knocked me out of a job. And so I did the logical thing. I applied for a job as an arms dealer. I mean, I wouldn't say it was exactly door to door, but there was a lot of travel involved, and that's quite difficult when you've got irritable bowel syndrome and you can't go more than 50 metres from a toilet. But I did get to meet a lot of people. And I was at a dinner with the then East German ambassador, Boris Becker. And he introduced me to none other than Colonel Gaddafi, if you can believe that. What can I say? I mean, we hit it off, the Colonel and I. I explained my situation and he offered me a job on the spot, really. Technically, I was a sort of glorified Minister for Justice, but more accurately, I was really his caddy, I guess. I mean, you hear some horror stories about Gaddafi, but he was actually a lot of fun. We had some good laughs. I mean, on Fridays, a few of us would get together and we dress up and we play the Golden Girls. Gaddafi always got to be Blanche, of course, but that's okay. I did a pretty good Dorothy, I think. It was nice. It was a way to end the working week, I suppose, and it's actually one of the few ways you could drown out the screams from the torture blocks nearby, so there was that too. But couldn't last. Nothing like that can, especially with a temper like his, and I found myself on the end of it one day. We were out beachcombing near Benghazi, just a thing we had. And it was the 80s, so Gaddafi was doing his impressions of teeny others. He was pretty good, actually. And I thought I'd return serve and I'd do a few jokes of mine in Czech. And all of a sudden I found myself being thrust at the point of a bayonet. I don't know where he got a bayonet from. He must have found it in the sand or something. And I found myself in the Mediterranean. So there I was, no home, no employer. Unfortunately, it was a warm day and I'm a strong swimmer, so I made it to Europe by the next morning. That was all right. And it was shortly after that I started touring with various prog rock groups around Europe. Mostly for a bit of pocket money. I had to pay for my extravagant wedding with Linda Ronstadt, who I met in a bar in Split shortly after my arrival. I was actually waiting for Marshal Tito, but he never turned up because he was dead, basically. Anyway, I found myself touring with Yes, and they were in Rome playing at the Tina Arena. And I got this call, 6 a.m, from Rick Wakeman, wanker, saying that his wife was coming and he had a girl in his room and he needed me to come and get rid of her. So I got in the cab, 6 a.m, and went up to Rick's room and he just gestured towards the cupboard. He never actually said anything to me, which made phone calls very, very difficult. Anyway, I opened the cupboard and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was the smallest woman I think I've ever seen. I mean, she was 30 centimetres if she was a foot. She was wearing a hula skirt and seemed to be made of wax or something like that. Bizarre. So anyway, Rick gestures with his foot towards the door, so I grab the girl and we get in the taxi and go back to my caravan. It was quite warm. I didn't want her to melt, so I just sort of put her in the fridge. I couldn't think of anywhere else to put her, and of course, Linda came along and found her and threw her out the window, and then she left me. But that's women, I mean, I've always said that women are a bit like ball bearings, sort of round and metallic and used in various industrial processes. A lot of them are made in Sweden too.